There we go.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, there we go. Well, welcome back to the next episode of West Turf. Today we have with us Mike, better known as Busy Bees, and we also have the host, one of the hosts of the Grass Factor, our very own Ryan DeMay. Welcome, Ryan.
Gentlemen, damn nice to see you tonight. Hope everybody's doing well. I've buckled my seatbelt. The flight attendant has assured me that it's fastened correctly, and I am ready to go this evening.
You're ready for takeoff. All right, fantastic. Yeah.
We have the man, the myth, and the mastermind himself.
I don't know about any of that, but I know how to. I'll say this is one thing. When I introduce myself to people is I tell them that I've been doing this long enough to know how to get myself into a lot of trouble and how to get myself out of a lot of trouble and growing grass. So that's how long I've been doing it and how much I have attempted to screw things up. And so hopefully hopefully we can learn from each other tonight. I've got some questions for you all because this is the fun part for me about going on shows like this is I get to play I get to sit in the dumb chair, right? And
Okay.
ask the questions.
Yeah, no, happy to answer any questions that you may have. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
All right. So okay, let's start here. Is my question for you two is there a case, and I'm asking you two because of who you are, what you do, and where you've come from, right, in this lawn care space and everything like that. A lot of experience here, much more than I have in lawn care specifically. So the question to start is, do you think that commodity lawn care is going to die in the next 5 or 10 years? And the reason I say that is like I don't know that it scales anymore because of the talent gap and the people and all that kind of stuff to actually get the work done and get it done well. Do you think it dies or evolves in such a way that it becomes more fragmented to guys like yourselves that are very good at what you do, but you have an upper limit, like a ceiling of which you can hit and actually do in a year, which is okay. Like it's not an indictment, but I think it's actually a good thing. Do you think it's going to go that way?
Um, if I think so. I think it's kind of in our area. It's almost kind of like history repeating itself. A lot of individual business owners here all came from high volume lawn care, right? And they were kind of hitting their head against the wall and dealing with a lot of stress. And they said, you know what, I could probably do this better on my own. And so yeah, it's kind of like the fall of the Roman Empire, right? You kind of fraction off into your own little space, right? I think, and that, for me, that's certainly the case. A lot of the guys that I've worked with over the years in high volume, we've all kind of been our separate ways and done our own thing at this point.
Makes sense. Baby, what do you think? You're in a little bit different boat in a different market, different clientele, all that. I'm curious.
I think it's going to look a lot like around the 2010, 2012 era, where budgets start becoming an issue. People are going to be like, well, I'll just do it myself. Then realize that it becomes, well, I can go work, I can pay this guy, and it's going to become a commodity again.
Well, and I think that's something too that I'm curious to hear. Are that part of it too? Like, are you hearing that from the let's just call them the rank and file clients, right? The normal everyday homeowners that mom and dad work, maybe a couple kids, or they've got some other stuff they do. Are you guys seeing, or have you seen in say the last year, as inflation's crept up, like is that a thing right now in lawn care, or do you think we're getting closer to that, or has it hit yet, or no?
I've had 4 turn down aeration overseeding last fall, and I've had 1 deny chemical treatment this year.
Out of how many accounts though?
Almost 600.
Okay, so a really small percentage.
like maybe 1%, if you want to call it that.
Okay, you are the 99%.
I would say I'm right there the same. We have about 600 customers between this and actually experienced probably another 5 to 6% growth this season. Grudgingly, because we were stretched thin to begin with, but definitely.
So when you say that though, so what? Okay, so let me ask it this way: what would be normal attrition in a year? And Brent, go back to your volume lawn care days. Like there was a lot more customer churn when you had thousands of accounts at a big giant company than if you did. But on a percentage basis, does it equal out, or is it the same, different? What do you think?
So we actually had a very unique franchise. We were pretty stable at 80% retention. So let's talk about when I was first there. I think we had about 1,000 customers, maybe a little bit over that. And then at the point that I had left, there was probably closer to 7,000 customers. And we had us in the 70% retention rate, but we were always in 80% retention, and that we could bank on that pretty good.
Okay. BB, what's a good number for you?
Honestly, the past probably 7 years, we've stayed roughly around that 90 to 98% retention rate.
Man,
Yeah, I would say
go ahead.
I would say with the company that I have now, we're about at the 95% retention.
And that's the thing is like is this one of those things, and I wonder this when I talk to other lawn care guys that that are worried about, hey, what's coming next? Is this a recession? Are we nearing a recession? Is there something that's going to come that's going to swing back? And I always ask them, okay, what was your your retention rate and what was your growth? And they'll be like something like what you just said. They'll be like 75% or better, and our growth was 3 to 10%. And it's almost like you're like a football coach or a basketball coach where you're only remembering the losses. Like you had such an awesome year, you grew 5 or 6%, like you said, Brent, or you retained 98% of your customers, like you did, Mike. And then you're just like, yeah, but that guy turned down that aeration overseeder job. I can't believe it. Gosh damn. Like it's weird how we beat ourselves up over those losses, but it's so true that like you can't get caught up in that. So I don't know. I think that was to highlight number one. I was curious on, where those stand for you guys because it's a little bit different with everybody.
No, I had two that dropped in. I'm like, oh, yes, never have to go there again.
Well, so let me ask you that question is, do you have, okay, so like, oh gosh, I can't think of, the name's on the tip of my tongue here, but, oh, dang it. CEO. Fire. Jack Welch, that's it. Okay, so Jack Welch, he was the CEO for GM for a long, long time, or GE, General Electric, excuse me, General Electric. And Jack Welch believed that you had to fire the bottom 10% of your employees every year, the top, the bottom 10% worst performers. Now, I'm not talking about employees here, but do you believe that there is a deal breakers in it for customers for you guys that you're just like, I'm sorry, you got to go. Either you're too much to handle, your yard's never going to get any better. I mean, what are those like deal breakers for you guys that would make you fire a client?
Location.
Go ahead, Mike, or you want me to take this one?
I was gonna say one, location. Two, how hard are you to deal with? Like, are you ever satisfied with anything that I do? Like, your yard looks perfect. There's nothing else I can do except be here as a full-time maintenance guy every single day of the week and literally pick leaves up as they fall. Like, is that what you want? Because if so, that's not me. And then I got other ones that are just like, all they want is the bare minimalistic come in here every 3 weeks, dirt it to the ground, and then they find something wrong with it. And I'm like, well, bye. And I've called a lot of them back in the past, probably, I'd say 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
Yeah.
then I guess Brent, you came from a place where in a big franchise situation, did you ever fire clients there, or was it just straight up like anybody who's a paying client is a good customer? Shut up.
So there was an art to it, I guess. I guess you could call me, I was like the white knight to go in and like smooth everything over. So I was the guy that was meant to save customers, but after a while I've been there, I would go back to the owner or some of my colleagues, and I said, this is just not savable. It's not worth it for my technicians to go out there and deal with this guy. It's a loss. It's a lose-lose situation. Let's just drop it and both go our separate ways.
Yeah, and I think there's probably more of those conversations that need to happen than people are willing to have in a given year. At least from my conversations, and that's why I always like asking these questions, because like everybody wants to talk about their numbers and the technical side of things, and trust me, I'd love to sit there and talk, and we can jam on some of the technical stuff, but I'm always interested in the business side of it, of what does it actually take to make this work and get to something that resembles a good running business that's not just like putting out fires, number one, or two,
Right.
having to deal with people you don't want to deal with. Like isn't that part of being like one of the main benefits of being self-employed is you don't have to deal with pricks and a-holes all day long if you don't want to, something like
It's
that.
the benefit of being permanently unemployed, but not having an actual technical, quote unquote, real job.
Well, BB, if there was anybody who qualifies as a highly trained unprofessional, it'd surely be you. There's no doubt in my mind.
You got to look at it that way.
I do. I every day I look at it like for myself, and you definitely fall in that same wheelhouse.
Wake up 6 a.m. Well, shit, it's raining cats and dogs out here. Well, I'm going back to sleep.
Sure.
I get up. There's plenty of stuff to do, even when it's raining, BB. There are no rain days at Field Source, just days that it rains. That's the way it works.
You can have those days. You don't have to worry about the boss calling you. Why the fuck are you not here yet?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance to it. I find myself actually working harder on a rain day sometimes because I'm catching up on all the paperwork and all product and whatever else I needed to catch up on, even in my own house. It's like, I've been working for 3 weeks straight. I probably should clean the kitchen.
Speaking of, I actually done the dishes yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I wish I could do that, but yeah, I've got a wife and children at home, and my stuff would be in the driveway if I attempted to do that. So I got to at least put some of the effort in on the front end there at home. So all right, here's my other question, and we can dive into whatever you all want to talk about. I just wanted to make sure I remember these, but on the high end side, one thing that Matt Martin from the Grass Factor always says is that you've got guys that are super high end that do like maybe a handful to a dozen accounts, and that's all they do. And you've got commodity lawn care on the other end. And then, his assertion or contention is that you can't do both within the same company, right? You got to pick a model, right, and go that route. So, we do a little tiny bit of that high end stuff, right? And we do a lot of sports field stuff, obviously. But my question is, like, in your experience, can that work? Like, is that a good route to pursue? And the only reason I ask is because I got two smart people on here that know way more about this side of it than I do, and I've always been curious on that side. Like, if I ever wanted to go and push a business, a lawn care business, I think it would be that. But I guess tell me why and tell me why not. You don't have to pick a side if you don't want to. You can just go pros and cons if you need to.
The why not aspect, finding labor, finding people that actually lives up to your expectations.
Yep. Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
therefore, I have me, my brother, my uncle, the one that got me started, his best friend since they've been in high school, and we have 2 other guys. So there's
Mhm.
a total of 6 of us. That is this tight knit group that all own our own business, that all um, cooperatively work together on big, massive projects. That's why we can turn the volume that we turn, like the 16 pallets of sod that I posted in Dirty. That was
Mhm.
me, and that was me and one other guy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Jeez.
I know. I was impressed.
Yeah, I'd say.
But me and him, we went in, we assessed the situation, we pulled the soil samples, we done soil amendments, we done the grade work, and then we laid the sod.
So is there a why? Why should I mean, it's, you talk about, hey, you're fortunate enough to have the right mix of people, the right labor, all that kind of stuff. But is there any case for doing that over doing, say, 200 accounts versus 20 like super high end accounts or something like that? Like, let's just use that scale for, a 10x scale or something like that.
Well, I mean, that would come down to something looking like, Mike Andes building the franchise of Augusta Lawn Care versus, Ray doing what Ray does in Hawaii. They're both super successful. Which end of the spectrum do you want? I can't give you a yes or no.
That's what I'm saying. It's here to poke around as a discussion topic. Why not? Right.
Right. I think it would be difficult for me to. I would love to. I would love to just have 200 accounts here in hometown, just making absolute perfect lawns. It just. I don't know. It's a tough question because
Is it a critical mass thing? Like, there's got to be enough of that, or enough of that business to support it. Is that the issue, you think, or is it just trying to find all those people and get the business scaled to even to that level would be difficult?
yeah, for me,
I think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say some of it comes down to finding somebody with that, fuck you money level of, okay, make this pristine. I don't care what it costs, and you want to keep those accounts. Then you're gonna have this guy that wants, a champagne budget on fucking Miller High Life, income.
Right.
And it's trying to figure the balances of each of those.
Brent, what were you going to say before?
Oh, I don't remember it. That's fine.
Well, that's why I told you to go ahead.
Well, no. So you were going back. You were talking about scaling it, right? That you were.
Yeah. So I could I blow up my company to 1,000 customers? Absolutely. I was part of that train and been trained to do that for previous company. Do I want to do that? No, absolutely not. My goals
Why
are
not?
different. Well, here's the difference. See, my motive for building it when I was at the corporate level was to get essentially butts and seats or meet in the market, get people jobs, employed, get their foot in the door, learn something about the green industry that and share my passion with them and train them to do that. And I experienced over the last, I think maybe 6 years, putting my heart into that became incredibly difficult on the other end of things, right? So not showing up for work, not caring about the job, um, just in it for the paycheck, and which I mean, we all need to get paid. I understand. I felt those pressures too, but I think for me, just being smaller and in more control of my own little smaller space is just mentally um, more acceptable, I guess. Mentally better, for sure.
So, what you're saying is in the commercial franchise version of this, it comes down to mental health, and it becomes a monotonous. Oh, I have to do this day in day out, whether I want to be here or not. Where now the 3 of us wake up every day and go, "Hey, let's go make something happen." No matter how great
Yeah.
we feel, how shitty we
Right.
feel, like we could have been on a damn Zoom call till like 5 a.m. hungover as shit, wake up an hour later and go, hey, let's go get this shit done.
Speak for yourself. No, I think that's real. I think there's, and I guess that's the root of the question. There is like, from a business perspective, I think, is how do you change the players that are coming out of the game? And I guess, Brent, you've experienced this probably more so, and Mike, you've probably seen it on the back end of people, churning in and out of companies and everything like that, and who your competition is. But these guys get out of these large companies that it's literally just built to sell applications, just built to sell stops at the door, put a receipt on the door, and move on to the next one, right? Versus actually giving a shit about who you're taking care of, knowing the customer, understanding the challenges that they have, what they want, what they need, all that kind of stuff. I see it going that way. I'm just wondering how you how you get that off the ground and how you scale it and everything like that. So I don't know, not really a question there. I guess it's more of an observation of I see the market going that way, because I just don't know that the quality is going to be there for these big franchises. And, especially with the amount of private equity money that's going into buying up and rolling up all these, medium to larger size companies. How do you keep enough techs that know how to do stuff that aren't screwing stuff up royally? Like, just, I don't know. I don't know that that's going to happen.
They
And
can
do
have
it and do
one
it well.
hell of a damn umbrella insurance policy.
Yeah.
And a workers' comp policy.
Yeah, that too.
And should start a couple of sod farms while they're at it, just in case. Hedge your bet.
Oh
Way
yeah.
you can sell the sod back to yourself. Left pocket, right pocket. That's just insurance, man. That's cheap insurance for them.
Hey, if I had 1,000 acres, I'd start one.
I'll tell you what. Maybe that's the thing. It's like somebody should start a volume lawn care sod farm only, and just go from there. So.
And sell on Tiff Eagle.
No, none of that. Oh man. All right. So those are my questions. I'm sure I can think of more as we go along, but hey, I'm here for the next, probably 45 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes or whatever we've got to jam here. I've got to get some work done later on this evening, but what do you guys want to talk about?
Mike was kind of interested in well, I guess I won't pawn this off onto Mike. I was interested, and I think we were kind of leading into it, was having custom expectations, right? Like going into maybe just a new customer, or going into an estimate or whatever. And just, for me, I mean it took a long time to really nail down on where that customer is at, and what I can provide them with my expectations, compare their expectations. When you encounter an athletic field, or you're talking to a DA, right, or an athletic director, an AD, how do you match their expectations and your expectations?
Well, I think a few things there is, first, you try to understand what their values or priorities are, right? So if I was going into a lawn care situation, the questions I'd ask first would be, what, if I gave you these different attributes, so let's just say, like, overall cost, the beauty or aesthetic value of your yard, the environment, or the animals, critters, dogs, cats, all the things that interact with the lawn,
Sure.
and then maybe just in terms of their overall sense of value of lawn and landscape, into the value of the home, because some people place a different value on that, right? So I would just give them those 2 or 3 or 4 key attributes and ask them, hey, can you rank these for me, so I understand what's most important to you? And then I think it gives you something to sell on, right? Because, if it's an environmental thing, well, hey, we can do stuff that's, more environmentally friendly, or I can show you how our programs or our approach is more environmentally friendly by knowing what we're doing instead of just, applying stuff all willy-nilly and really having no plan or need to do certain things, whereas, other companies might not have that same care or disregard for, the environment, for example. But it also gives you something to sell on and it could be something that's a qualifier too. I talked about this a lot with Lushy over there, your neighbor there in Attleboro.
Yep.
I say neighbor in relative terms, but we talked about this a lot last year or the year before, where he was going through some of this in terms of just qualifying customers, and one of the the good ideas that was born from that conversation that was really his, and he took it on and has done great with it, is using that soil test and that lawn evaluation as a qualifying tool to, one, demonstrate his authority as a lawn expert in the field, right? To show them, hey, this is our approach, this is how we do it, and you're paying me for my time and my expertise, and you've got skin in the game now, right, as a customer. Two,
Right.
actually getting a soil test and knowing, okay, hey, here's where I can make some differences, right off the bat, and get some of this low hanging fruit knocked out.
Sure.
And then on the other side is trying to find out where what their needs are as a client. So those are things to definitely look at. And I think it's also good, two other parts of this would be show people what they can expect. So it's good to have a lawn around the block, or even pictures, stuff like that, where you can say, hey, this is a person that was in this exact same situation,
Sure.
older home, 30, 40 years old, lawn was original when it was put in, and here's the level, here's the client that we were able to improve what was there, and this is sort of their ceiling, right? They're okay with this. Here's another client that got to that point and still wasn't satisfied, and we did a renovation on it, and now it looks like this. So I really think that showing people is really important, and I think that showing people on the front end of what to expect, and then also as you go through the year, just a quick documentation. I think we do a lot of that where a quick video, a 30 seconds to 60-second video out there on the lawn and sent to them that's personalized. Hey, we did this and this today. Here's why it's going to help. Here's some things we noticed that we'll check in on next time. Here's some things you can do to help us. 20 seconds, break it up, each of those chapters, and send it off. It's easy to digest. It's simple, and it shows that you give a shit. I think that's really important too. And the last thing too is with those different levels of expectation and showing them what that looks like, I think it's important to give people options of pricing. So when it comes down to if you want to talk about it as gold, silver, bronze, or you term it however you want to term it, but I do think that showing people, and whether you're doing that to anchor your price, which in pricing strategy means that you want them to pick the middle of the three, kind of thing, and you show them a super, stupid high number that they take. Hey, great, like we'll do it and we'll get paid for it. You don't want them to take the low one if you don't have to, but at least it's bare bones and you get them through. But the middle one, is kind of the one you want to take. You can play games like that, or you can just straight up give them three options and say, hey, this gets us, all the way to the goal a lot quicker. And that's usually what we say is, it becomes a function of money versus time, right? So the more that you invest in this, both up front and ongoing, the quicker we're going to reach those goals and those levels of expectation that we just showed you, because your lawn is, I just showed you a 7 out of 10 with that lawn that was, a 30 or 40-year-old home, and it's got the original grass, but we made it nice, doing what we could with it. That's a 7 out of 10. Right now, your lawn's at a 3 out of 10 in that same state. And it's going to take me a year and a half to get it there, or 2 years to get it there. And, if you can accelerate that time window if we have more money to work with, but you can also sort of take the easy and steady approach of it over, again, 18 months to 2 years, and go with this middle price point. You'll be fine. And the lowest one is literally just to kind of keep it at that level or slightly above or something like that, and just make sure that it's happy and healthy. And that's the hospice lawn care, as Ray Ito would put it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I went on a kind of a tangent there, but yeah, like those are things. Those are all like strategies that we use to try and help frame those expectations, understand where they're coming from, try to meet with them where they are, and also to qualify them, because there's times where, like Busy said, they're not your people, and you've got to know that up front, right? Rather than get yourself in an abusive relationship, comparatively speaking or whatever, but get yourself in a bad spot where it's like, oh, I'm never going to win with these people, and this sucks. Like, it's no fun.
Yep.
The money's not even worth it at this point. Like, it's just my mental energy and stress, like you were saying at the top of this, Brent, that that just doesn't compute here.
Yeah, I think and I thank you for that. I appreciate it. And what I was going to add to that is, like, what kind of people are we working with here, right? So do they have exceptionally high expectations but are not willing to put it in on their end, right? Like, not having an irrigation system, having it mowed either bi-weekly or by, well, that's going to get mowed, once every month, which I have encountered. But their expectations are extremely, it's like, are we going to win here? Are you going to work with us? Are you able to work with us? So there's some of those qualifying questions that I have in the last, oh God, forever, have been putting out as well. So
I honestly think that from a content standpoint, it would be great, and I don't know that you could summarize it. You might be able to summarize it in a 10-minute video, but I bet you could chapter it out, and I think this would be super helpful both for lawn care operators, number one, and homeowners or consumers, number two, would be a how to buy lawn care services guide. There's nothing like that. I've looked high and low. There is nothing like that. Now you'll get people like again, not to shit on Mike Andes, but you'll get those guys that are clearly just using it as a marketing ploy. I'm saying, like, an honest to goodness, like a soup to nuts guide of, hey, if you're a consumer in the marketplace looking for lawn care services, here's what you should be looking for from a service standpoint. Here's what you should be looking for in terms of prices, so you can compare apples to apples, right? And then also too is, what level of experience do you need to actually get to the results that you want, and just let the chips fall where they may. I think that alone helps out and legitimizes the people that are doing it right on our end, right, from an operator standpoint. And two, people don't know what they're buying. I mean, nobody knows, and that's a struggle, I think, in the marketplace. Is it would help level set those expectations a little bit better as far as what people are buying and what we're able to deliver based on the level of investment somebody wants to put into it.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, and I think that's something that I'd really like to. I would definitely spend some time creating and putting out there into the world for sure. That's a great idea.
Oh, that'd be a great segment piece. It would probably take at least 2, maybe 3 months to break down and go piece by piece.
Yeah, and I think that's what you start with. You start with a again, a 10-minute overview, and then I think you let your audience, you kind of crowdsource where the questions come in. Hey, yeah, you touched on this, but can you explain more about Y or X or whatever that that people come into, and then just develop your the rest of your chaptertized content. I think I just made a word up. Just you develop it off of there. So
we'll the Discord a lot better.
I don't know. Like, I always feel like that's a hole in the marketplace. Something that we've always wanted to, something that we've always talked about doing on the Grass Factor, but we will never have the time to do it. But I also think too that you guys encounter so many more of those folks in the marketplace that you probably know how better to speak to them, right, as you would anybody that you encountered, that called you up, inbound, outbound, whatever, and asked for services.
Well, it's all about pre-qualifying questions too when you're on the phone with them.
Well, yeah.
What are your pre-qualifying questions?
Go ahead.
Sell me. All right, Busy. Let's role play it. Sell me. I want my lawn.
That's one of the things that me and Leshy have been talking about. He's got me to the point now where what you brought up earlier with the soil test and the soil test assessment thing. I started doing that middle of last year when me and him had about a 3-hour conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we got you involved because I had an issue with some boxwoods, and me and him were video chatting or something. I got somebody. I don't know if it was you or
I hate boxwoods. Just to be, you
yeah, I
you
hate them
can
too.
put
But
that on record.
they wanted to know what was going on. I was like, well, I'm thinking it's either root rot or boxwood blight, and there's no saving these. We're gonna have to just rip out, reinstall. But I wanted to call a couple of people just to, confirm my suspicions.
Co-sign your BS, right?
I mean, I've seen it firsthand here. American boxwoods, you know it's a thing. You know it's going to happen.
Wait till you put them right next to the sidewalk with salt and traffic and everything else around it. It's yeah,
I replaced
not
3 kaleidoscope abelias because somebody put too much fucking salt on a commercial property.
happens all the time here, man. It's literally it's a thing.
I've
So
replaced them 9 times so far.
that's why I don't deal with. That's why I specifically do not deal with ornamentals. I draw my lines. Monocots only. That's my delineation. So, all right. So, what other questions can we? I could jam all night on the buying guide. I think that's an awesome thing, and I think you could probably blow it up. That could be a viral video for sure.
More viral than Mustard King.
I'm not going there.
Text me
Not
later
going
about
there.
that one. Hey, text me the final number on that.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not?
We
How long
just
is it gonna be
started.
open?
Well, at least 6 months. I mean, we'll have it open. No, they can use whatever's there, but it'll be open for a while.
Oh, so Brent, now's the perfect time for DeMay to actually run that advertisement.
Oh, am I running an advertisement?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say if you're a subscriber to my channel, I have on the community post a link to Razor if you want to jump in there and you can make a donation.
Well,
There you
go. Here's one of the guys that started it.
Yeah.
What's that?
The fundraiser.
Oh, the fundraiser. Yeah.
Yeah, you started that.
I was. Yeah.
Well, you played a part in it.
I was the fuel to the slow burning fire. I the only credit I can take for that is I turned a small innocent campfire into a roaring forest inferno. That's really the only thing I did.
You were the diesel to the campfire.
I was. You got my good buddy Brady Schroeder's here in the chat talking about he tries to talk people through, that buying process and the comparative, nature of, well, so-and-so says they'll do it for $5 less. And I think that's what he's saying. And then he says, he tries to explain that to him and the technical stuff just goes right over their head. So I don't know.
To a point it does. And then you pretty much swap over to like you, me, Brent, everybody in the grass factory. Like we're talking, chemical assessment. We're talking, chemical breakdowns. We're going way over our heads, and then you gotta go. This guy works a 9 to 5. He doesn't even know the technical name of tenacity, aka disotrione. We gotta fucking dumb it down here.
Well, and I think that's why, honestly, back to your original question, Brent, I think this plays into a smaller outfit, right? A smaller company is, and I've advocated for this for a long ass time, is the whole pricing structure for lawn care, specifically for Fert and Squirt, is asinine. I mean, it's completely asinine. We're basically saying, hey, across these hundreds to thousands of properties, right, that the same relatively the same products and approach and everything like that, regardless of the type of yard, the type of grass, generally speaking, like all that it's just going to work, right? If I do 5 apps of this, and 2 apps of that, like we should reasonably expect good grass. Like that's all it is. It's basically just saying, hey, listen, take a few baby aspirin, all that kind of stuff, and work out a little bit. Hopefully you don't drop dead of a heart attack. I mean,
it's what I like to call roadworthy grass. You drive by, it looks okay.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, the bachelor pad that looks good from outside, but then you go inside and yeah, there's nothing that's gonna keep your date there. But I guess my thing is, how, and I'll ask you two guys, this smart guys, how do we get then to get people to accept in the marketplace more of an outcome-based approach, right? Like, hey, again, going back to my original kind of assessment thing, you're at a 3 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 or whatever you want to, here's what a 7 looks like. Here's what a 9 looks like. I'm saying that in order to get you there, this is what I need to do. Now, there's two parts of that. There's two sides of that, I should say. The one side is, like you said, convincing people, hey, this person is going to take me from what they say is here to there. And that's important, right? That people can see that journey in their mind, and you show them, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're not just going to sell you a bunch of services that maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. You fire us, whatever. Right. So convincing people of that. But the other side is how do you do that without making your business so complex that, you're writing out 5 different mix sheets, for guys that are going out on a route that day or something like that. So how do you, I'm legitimately asking this question because I don't know. I've thought about it in my mind, but I've never really thought about it to answer it. How do you balance those two things out of, hey, I want to deliver an outcome, and each situation is unique and challenging for its own reasons and things like that. But I can't get too complex and make it hard on my guys or our company and sacrifice, efficiency or efficacy or whatever. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
So, and again, going back to setting expectations, or is from the technician point of view?
Both, because again, you got to set those expectations that I'm gonna take you from here to here, from point A to point B, and I'm showing you I know how to get to point B. Clear as day. I can either walk you around the corner, or I can show you this picture of somebody that's 2 miles down the road. I can take you from A to B, and the more precise and specific I can be about your situation. Hey, yeah, here's a similar thing: 30 or 40-year-old house. First lawn. I keep using that as an example, but you could even say a new home. Here's a brand new home subdivision that was built 2 years ago. Their lawn looked just like yours did right now 2 years ago when they moved in there, and it was a piece of shit. I've taken it, and now it looks like this, right?
Yeah.
So that's the expectation setting side. So how do you get people to maybe buy into that versus, well, this other company said they're going to do 5 apps of this and 2 apps of that, and it's going to cost me, $800 for the year. Like, why shouldn't I just do that? Yours is almost, 50% more for the year. Well, I'm managing for an outcome, right? I'm managing to get you to point B, as quickly and as effectively as I can. So you get that piece, and then you've got, okay, well, man, I've got one of those houses that's in, the new subdivision that we got to mix up this for or take this for. And then we've got, a whole route down the street that's got 5 houses in one subdivision. That's a completely different situation, right? That we've got that are in good shape that we don't need to do as much to. Like, how do you balance all that out? So it's not just like, fuck, man, I got 18 products on this truck to do one route today. And that's too much. So that's the kind of balance I'm trying to strike is, how do you balance that? You just, again, think about it, talk out loud, whatever. And
it's simple. I have 4 Z sprays.
Yeah, everybody can. Everybody can
on the trailer at one time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So basically, what Busy's saying is he's going to send, SEAL Team 6 out there to, assassinate these lawns. So we got that going for us.
So that's one Z spray. Over here, I got my very pristine commercial accounts. That Z spray's gonna go on that one. The iffy, okay, it looks good, but I still need to add a little kicker in here. That's the Z spray number 3, and then I got, oh fuck, what did I run into? Fucking throw everything in the tank.
That's the one where you accidentally spray, Roundup on it and then do an insurance claim so you can sod it so it's no longer a fucking problem, right?
Actually, I couldn't tell you the last time I actually sprayed Roundup. minus
I-
that side job after the grade.
I used to work. The reason I say that, I used to work with a guy, and I can say this because it's well past the statute of limitations. I think now I never did this. We're taking this is a guy that back in the 70s, his job when he was in his late teens and 20s was stealing people's cars and pushing them into the quarry so that they could file an insurance claim and get a new car. So I'm sure people may do that. That whole cut and kill situation up there in South Dakota.
Oh, I remember
Oh,
that.
I'm wondering if there was a little bit of that little. That's my tinfoil hat theory, maybe, on that. Is they just have all these people have terrible grass. We don't want to deal with it. We'll start over. Plus, I don't
it's
know.
in the name of the company. I mean,
it is. It's I'm gonna say it's not false advertising.
it's not
But-
false advertising. No.
So I don't know, Brent. What do you think about that? About trying to balance that out?
Look,
And-
it's not even that too difficult for me anymore because of my experience. I can walk a property. I'm going to say, these maple trees are going to be an issue. You might want to be looking into getting rid of this or putting mulch around that or walking to a front of the property and it's just all, undesirable turf species. And I'm like, this is not the right stuff in the right place. Or we have to convert it to this and that, and I break it down. I understand what Brad Brady was saying is
Yep.
it's really easy to get caught up in the science of it. We could talk about turgor and all kinds of stuff, right? And then like the customer does shit about that. They just we're gonna break it down to like this would be a good watering schedule. This is I can leave some watering measuring instruments out here. Let's see what the irrigation system's doing. Just make it more personalized instead of
And then-
okay. Well, I just go ahead.
And while on the irrigation topic, while looking at it, you diagnose and go, oh, well, this has a bare spot down here. Here, let me leave you separate above ground irrigation head that I build myself. I keep in the fucking truck at all times. Use this to cover that area.
Yeah, and so you're using your experience in my experience for my business. I use my experience to my favor. I'll give you an example. I just got a call come in yesterday for an estimate. Now it's the dead of winter, but this person already received estimates from other places, right? And the way that they got that was they got a GPS reading of the seat, and nobody's put boots on the ground to even check out this property, right? Do we even know if the square footage is accurate for that? Do we even know like a program is going to be suitable for this environment? Like you don't. So
No, but
in my
what it does gives you a rough idea because with
sure,
gas-
I'm not knocking the ability of using a GPS square footage system, but you need to see. This was my biggest
now,
gripe.
what's in those square feet is more important than the
Exactly.
square footage.
Exactly.
But then the square footage and the initial cost, like I can use it for me for mowing. Easy example. 8,500 square feet. If you're within my route, $45 minimalistically by week for me to drop my trailer. That's without me putting boots on the ground. That's initially for me to show up.
I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned, and maybe a little bit like Brent. If I'm pegging Brent the right way, which sounds really weird that I just said that, but don't take that. I did not mean to say it that way, but yes.
We understand.
Fuck. Anyway, if I'm reading what Brent is saying correctly, I'm old fashioned too, and I would like to see a property before I
Yes.
say, hey, I will price this for you, right? And maybe this is the way, Brent, is like is it something that you can build an algorithm that is sort of either a range, right? Or a not to exceed number. I'm big on not to exceed numbers. Hey, listen, worst case, I don't think it'll be any more than this, right? And then if you come in comparatively lower, now you will get some people that are like, oh my God, like that's so much more than what the the True Green site spit out at me. Like, that's crazy.
And
But
see, that's a qualifying factor when you can sit there and you can run a GPS and just give an initial estimate of a range. And
but
then
it also goes back
while
into
doing
this.
that, I'm also going, okay, well, I will come out. I will do a conversation with you. If you want, a soul assessment, it's X amount. If you want this, it's X amount. It's pre-qualifying factors. I'll spit in that single conversation. Like, what do you want? Are you just wanting me to mow it down to the dirt? Are you wanting pristine? What are you looking for? And all of this is pre-qualifying questions to where, do I want you as a customer or not?
Yeah, I definitely I understand that. I definitely understand that aspect of it. I think what more or less what I was getting at is that, like, how can you throw a number out to somebody where you don't know what you're going to be facing, right? So
Agreed.
if you're seeing
Exactly.
it's just, I
But
mean,
I have
is
range.
this going to be
I
yeah,
always think it's
and
easier
range is
conversations. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead, Brent.
ranges
Go range.
are yeah, I totally understand range. My for my system that I work with, like, they know right up front what is available to them. It's written. I told it to them. We have a disease prevention problem. There's a grub prevention, surface insect prevention, fertility, liming, seeding, all that stuff. But so those are all available to them. So I arrange. I could give them the prices for the whole program based on their square footage, and it could be customized any way that they really want it to. Now, it's not so much customized the way that I want to, so I'm gonna kind of sway from that customer, right, a little bit. I'm like, well, maybe this isn't a fit for us, but um, I understand the range part. So if you're working in a 10,000 square foot property, and you know that maybe this is going to require 4 fungicides on top of your basic program, then you could give that number out for sure. So I think that's what I'm getting at from you, Mike. Go ahead, expand upon that.
Yeah, I think you're getting that. I think that's the concept of it. But we'll take it back to the whole full service lawn care that I'm doing. Like me and like Ray. Like, we do full service. We mow, we take care of everything on that fucking property. Um Another thing, something Brady mentioned about the marketing companies are sitting here running such a cheap service, it's hard to compete. Well, my problem is, for that one there, I don't advertise. I don't have signs on my trucks. My trucks are not lettered. I don't have any type of advertisement at all, minus me taking pictures, posting on my personal business page, Instagram. That pretty much everybody that I know follows, and that's about it. Just so I have a place to actually come back. This customer's asking questions. Well, look, here's my Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if you don't like the Instagram, there's 9 commercial properties right here you can ride by that I'm at every fucking Monday morning. I can tell you exactly what time I'll be there every Monday.
Let's just stay up on Zoom.
So
Oh no,
one of my friends actually had just commented not too long ago. His name's Simon. He's actually a good friend of mine, and he's actually a customer of mine.
I was
And
wondering how you said that name.
yeah, so it's Simon, and thanks for checking in, Simon. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. And he says, as a customer, I'd like you to see it and build it a personal trust from the start. And absolutely, right? I mean, you have to know who you're dealing with. Is this person trustworthy? Is this, does he know what he's talking about? I mean, uh, Google is a phone away. You know?
Oh yeah.
Right.
So um, if somebody has questions, and they kind of have an understanding of of turf because they've learned it from, even watching the Grass Factor or Western Mass Turf or wherever. They've learned something, and so you have to at least know and qualify your knowledge and what you're able to do too. So yeah, same, absolutely. Thanks for uh, typing in. I appreciate it.
It's pretty
I
cool. You
will
got customers checking in.
I'd like to build on that because, well, both of y'all know the county that I'm in. My house is at the very top end of the county. My uncle's is at the very low end of the county, and it's an hour drive.
Mhm.
So, therefore, for that, like, yeah, I go there all the time because I have equipment stored there, and I have equipment stored at my parents' house, my grandparents' house. Yeah, I got equipment everywhere. No matter where I need it, I got backups and backups and backups. Something like that right there in a place that big, and we're not talking, I can use Jay Barley in the Discord as an example. He's got I think he told me he's got like a 2 to 5 mile density route from his house, and that's all he goes.
Mhm.
It's great.
I'm sitting here going 47 miles one way just to go get a
Good
tractor.
gracious, dude.
Yeah, but there again, also we have umpteen acres of land spread out through the county. Just my family alone. So
Time to get some robot mowers, dog.
you what?
Time to get some robot mowers.
I'm not Sean. Love him to death, but I'm not him.
Oh,
Something like that right there. I would have to, for me to make a trip out there to actually put boots on the ground, I would want to have my pre-qualified list of questions to talk to you to actually see if you're shopping or if you're an actual interested customer.
See, I have a
Time wasted is money lost, and we're in the business to make money, but we're also in the business to make a name for ourselves and have these pristine yards.
I don't disagree with that, but for me, I've turned customers like Ryan. I took a trip up to Amherst not too long ago, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So Amherst, I've actually had a lot of calls come in from Amherst, and I simply just say it's too far out of the way. We don't have the customer base up there. I don't anticipating building an Amherst route. I mean, we have Belchertown, South Hadley, all places all around there that at me it's just like no, Amherst is a no go. We're not gonna go into that. It's too far away. And if I get a service call out in that space, I'm losing 45 minutes to treat 5 violets where I should be doing an entire route in Ludlow. You know what I mean? So,
And that's I mean, that's discipline in building your business though, right? Like you have to be able to okay.
Sure.
You have to be able to say no to those things if you're not at that critical mass, right? And
sure.
I don't know. I think the other thing too is that you can be much more selective, and even in areas like yours where there's sort of towns and they're several miles apart and things like that. I grew up in an area like that, and I think about how lawn care is up there in the northern part of Ohio where I grew up, and now I'm down here in the central part of the state, and it's a giant city that's got a little over 2 million people in the metro area, and just the density of that, right, versus the guys back home would have hey, I've got this account that's in this town, right, and I'm going to hit all these houses, and then they might have 6 or 7 or 10 country lots that might be an acre or acre and a half or something like that, right, and sort of bouncing back and forth between those, and they knew which products to use and how to blend in different service offerings to match the clientele. And it's no different here. This is kind of what we're talking about with the high end versus the commodity stuff, but also too is trying to deliver a lot of value, whereas maybe some of your competition can't.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I rely back. I've said it's experience, right, and care, and that gives you a leg up on you give you an example. So there was a technician that I remember first year, and I just bought my own company, and like I knew this person just not didn't wasn't like they're just green. They're just new. They're just new to the whole experience. They didn't have a chance against me when I came in for an estimate, where I can say, okay, this is your grass type. This is what this area is going to be prone to. You know your soil because, in fact, I was the one that did the soil test 10 years ago, whatever. But I go back to experience, and for me, it's just that simple, I guess.
No, yeah, and that again, I think that's what Brady was getting at before, and what we've talked about here a little bit on is how do you get people, and this is where that buying guide video I think is really important, is how do you get
Yeah.
people to value experience? How do you get them to look at that and say, hey, that's a net positive, and that's something that's worth paying additional money to make sure that somebody qualified and somebody experienced is doing the work, as opposed to
Yeah.
just somebody else, right? And
Sure.
again, that's where a commodity is something you can pick up anywhere, across any type of market, right? That you can have somebody come in and do something. But I think that's why I started the whole episode off with this question, was that I really think that the service side of it, and more importantly and more precisely the outcome side of it, is going to get really, really, really stratified here pretty quick, because the commodity guys, I don't think are going to be able to keep up. I don't see anybody's expectations lowering per se, right?
No.
And there's going to be this point where I don't think they're ever going to go out of business, but I think that you're going to have more than enough to go around in terms of good and quality customers that want things done the right way and are willing to pay for it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to spend gobs and gobs of their discretionary income having Augusta National in their backyard, but to have a respectable looking lawn that's taken care of by a professional, right, that's guiding them through the process of all the stuff that they can't be there for. I really think that is it's the way forward. It's the future, and I think there's a ton of talented people in here in the space that'll break through and do a lot of this stuff. I think that it's going to be guys like you two that are going to have to show them the way, because it's different than what a lot of people are doing right now, and it's also not easy because there's a lot to overcome, as we've just talked about internally, right? How do I actually do this, right?
Sure.
And we always talk about in the business world, hey, sell it and we'll figure out a way to produce it, right? You just sell the work and we'll figure out a way to produce it. Well, you can only do that so long before the fuse hits the dynamite and shit blows up, and then you're kind of left with what you're left with. So I don't know if where I was going with that, other than to say, I appreciate you guys, I really do, of what you do and how you do it. I know that you both have taken a route that is not the most traveled and not the least traveled either, but something that is making it your own, and that I think is admirable. Not to shit on people that work in volume lawn care or anything like that. I know plenty of them, and they're good friends. It's just that
Same here.
you you have to sell a little bit of your soul away to do that stuff. You do. I don't care who you are. I tell them that to their face. You gotta do a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to do that. We don't have to do that.
Well, Demay, it's like you and me always talk about with these fly-by-night companies and these chuckle fucks and trucks. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be, I wouldn't necessarily say a thorn in your side, but they're going to be a nail in your tire. You're going to get pissed off one day, have to go fucking get it fixed, and then repair it, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I mean, that's the best analogy I can make right now that I can think of.
Well, and there's been people that have made a very good living, following in the wake of companies like that, right? That they come in behind, and that's like their whole business model is cleaning up the mess that's been made and just making stuff that look respectable. And quite honestly, a lot of the folks that I know that do that, one, do very well. Two, don't have to really do a lot of heavy lifting. Like it's just doing the basics right. And you'd be surprised at some of the. I mean, there's a guy I
See,
can
I
tell
started
you.
that way.
There's a guy I know here in Ohio that the entire business model was started like that a few decades ago, and they're now one of the largest independently owned lawn care companies in the Midwest. Like 20,000 customers,
Good.
Yeah, that's
massive.
impressive.
Holy.
So it's just, but it's that whole mindset, right? That we're not going to do anything spectacular. We're just going to, their whole business model is we do the basics right. You know,
And
we're here
honestly,
to
if
give
you
you the
do
basics.
basics right, I don't have an issue coming in after you and following up, doing weed control, doing fertilization, speaking with you, telling you, hey, look, I'm doing this on these weeks. I want you to be here these weeks. The following weeks, X, 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 X. As long as you can do this yard will look even better. And then if I see an issue, can I go to them? Can I tell them, hey, look, you're fucking this up because you're cutting at a wrong height. You're cutting this. You're cutting that wrong. You need to sharpen your blades. You need to change blades more often. Okay, this one here you need to bag now because we're getting a thatch issue. We're getting a fungus issue. We need this bag for the time being. All of that comes into play.
Well, absolutely, and I think if you're gonna have a landscape company, right, working with on the same property, you need to be in constant communication about what's going on, right? I mean, no doubt, even if they're starting to see something, you want a phone call, right? I mean, not inconveniencing me. If you're starting to see the backyard slowly turning into what looks like dormancy, but it hasn't been hot or anything, then you need a phone call, and you need to put an end to
Yeah, you
chinch
start noticing
bugs
a
immediately.
difference,
No, it's
or you start seeing like these patches like show up, and then like you see bugs crawling around. Like fucking call me immediately.
yeah, yeah, it's just communication. But yeah, and you want that, and there's some great companies that I work with that do landscaping and mowing for my property, and they have me on. They text right away. They see something that's out of the norm, I'll be right over. It's just,
Well, let me ask about that, especially for the the smaller companies, and that's not to be dismissive or anything like that of small businesses like what you do and I and Mike have here, but is there uh, a case to be made to have those strategic partners in your local area, right? That you say, listen, well, in busy, you're a little bit different because you're full service, but for guys like Brent that are strictly fert and squirt for the most part, do
Well,
seeding and some
I'm
other
full
stuff, but
service in transition zone, so therefore I'm completely different than a lot of people.
so that's the thing is like if you weren't, so picture yourself as not being full service, do you think there's a good reason for you to, if you're a single, a solo operator or something like that, or you maybe have only one or two people to go to some landscape companies and be like, hey, listen, let's be a strategic partner and do some of these properties together, and then like you said, have good communication back and forth, and we all look better, we all make more money. Yeah, I'm not getting in your way, you're not getting in my way, and this client's satisfied. Is there, and how would you approach that, Brent, if you had to do that cold turkey?
Well, I have that. I
yeah,
have
go
that
ahead.
right now because certain jobs are too big for me. So my mulch yard is actually owned by my uncle's nephew. He runs a crew of 5 guys that can sit here and take on multiple accounts that I can't, like my massive 50, 60, 70 yards of mulch per property.
Mm-hmm.
I send them out there to do it. Anything over 22 pallets of sod, I send them out there to do it, and I contract with them. I have a guy that's a premium log buyer that runs a logging business, and anything that I need dropped that I can't legitimately climb, drop, haul off in my dump trailer, I call him out there, and me and him work together. He brings the log trucks, he brings the chipper trucks, and we split profits.
Huh.
I got 2 grading companies I work with, and now also one of the guys that does the grading, he just started his own fence business this year. And I've already had 3 customers ask about that. I've done sent him over there with me. We're supposed to show up, I think, next Tuesday and give them a quote on the fence. I also got a guy that does stump grinding. So I have contacts everywhere in this business, even though I'm full service. I got guys I'm giving business to, and they're giving me business back. But we all work closely together, and we don't have a hate. We don't have a competition with each other because we're all going to get it.
Right. Yeah, and I would have to say I'm in the same boat there. I work with the landscape. Also, I've worked with other lawn fert and squirt companies. It's like, all right, we're all in the we're in the same boat here. We're here to help each other out. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so close to Amherst and the it's rubbing off on me.
Well,
I mean,
hey, it was like when I came on Thursday with Grasshopper. There was 2 big companies, Daniels Turf and Brad, that they both run probably 1,000 accounts. They contact me and my uncle all the time and be like, hey, look, I think we got an issue going on. Can y'all come out here and look? One is complete squirt and fert, and the other one is complete mow and gun.
Mhm.
But they stay in contact with us all the time, and we don't have any negative rapport with each other.
yeah,
I can't
and
say their volume,
sure.
but they don't want my prestigiousness, I guess. You made it work.
Makes sense to me.
No, and I think that's the thing is I think you got to have those strategic partners, and Busy's fortunate enough to have them, you know, basically right there alongside of him. I think it's a pretty interesting business model, right? When you know you almost turn yourself into like the force or the capabilities of a massive full service company, but you're all, you know, individuals that bring certain things to the table, right?
Right.
I think
And
that's
we
powerful.
all still make money.
Well, and that's the thing is if you read a lot of, you know, business books or ingest a lot of the stuff that goes out there, right, in that space is, you know, they call it the scarcity mindset, right? That, you know, people freak out because they never think there's going to be enough of something or whatever, and they put all this undue pressure and stress on themselves when in reality, like, there's more than enough out there. Maybe you're not looking in the right places, or maybe you're barking up the wrong tree, or maybe you need to adjust your service offerings or whatever, right? But you know, it's not because there's a lack of customers. Like, you know, people wouldn't be doing lawn care. Lawn care wouldn't be the massive, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars a year industry in this country if people weren't buying it.
We wouldn't have a
So
meetup every year in Louisville if lawn care was not the
no, there's no doubt about it.
easiest way to get into a self-made business. But the problem is,
I think it's
nobody
stripping. Oh, sorry.
now it's OnlyFans.
You do it for the comfort of your own home. You don't even have to go to the champagne room, ladies and gentlemen. Hear that? You heard it right here. Now, the only difference between, you know, the champagne room and Busy's place is at the champagne room, it's a 2-drink minimum. Busy's place, it's a 20-drink minimum.
How'd you know?
Hey, if you know, you know. So I don't know. But listen, I've got to head out. I've got to get some work done. But listen, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and jam with you, like this informal setup of just talking and getting in the weeds, pun fully intended, on, you know, this is stuff that doesn't get talked about. You see a lot of these, you know, again, Mike Andes, you brought him up. I'll mention it. Like, it makes it seem so simple, and it's like these are the thorny issues that, you know, keep you awake at night. The things that, you know, disrupt or get in the way of, you know, making, you know, steady and prolonged progress in your business and things like that. And it's stuff that, you know, I think a lot of times we try to face alone without reaching out, or at least trying to find out, okay, hey, maybe there are other people. And, you know, that's why, you know, shows like this are important, because we're all
I
like
would love
you
for
said
this
it
to be a
yourself, Brett. We're all in the same boat.
I'd love for this to be a continuation on the Grass Factor of the whole like customer, professional, clientele, like back and forth, and like get insight on there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think buyer's mindset and everything like that, and how to how to educate your clients. I think maybe a lot of times, and Brent, you brought it up, and Brady brought it up, is like how to assert your authority without being too sciencey, and like those are all things, right, that we could all do better on. And the blessing and the curse is that we all want to do that, like in our minds, like that's where our minds take us. But in reality, people are like, "You're a nerd. Stop." And then you're driving home in the truck later. I'm like, wait, man, was I being a nerd there? Was I weird? Was that awkward? And that little little Brent on your shoulder is like, yeah, it was fucking weird, dude. All right.
All right. Well, let's end it on that.
Let's end on the little Brent on your shoulder. He's gonna be sitting there talking to the rest of the night.
Like the time I talked to you about wanting a damn soul test lab.
Don't just stop. Just stop while you're ahead.
What was I being a nerd? Oh, fuck.
You were being a nerd. That was too much. That was over the top. That was awkward.
We're
all right, gents.
All
I
right.
love you all. I had a
Love
great
you.
time.
That was great.
We'll do it again
Thanks,
soon. All right.
I
Take care,
appreciate it.
guys.
Take care.